Triads, a term used to describe Chinese gangsters operating in Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, mainland China, and other countries with Chinese communities, are the subject of thousands of big and small movies. The Triads not only make others curious, but they are also feared by people and law enforcement around the world. This secret society of many criminal gangs is notable for its secrecy and many large-scale criminal activities everywhere in the world. Not as mystical as the Illuminati or possessing the power to control and manipulate in the dark like the Freemasons, the criminal gangs of the Triads simply directly oppress and rule the area through people's fear. The Chinese Three Emperors era really made the Italian Mafia no longer in a unique position. Regardless of the underworld's encroachment, many countries are completely powerless to stop this force. All the dark corners of history's most notorious criminal organization, which we will talk about in the video, Triads and the Expansion of Power. When you look for any information about the Triads, there will certainly always be one piece of information that is repeated many times and makes you unable to forget. The Triads are the largest criminal organization in the world. According to incomplete statistics, the Triads have an official membership of about 1.5 million people in mainland China and about 2.5 million members worldwide, equivalent to the number of troops in the Chinese army, the largest army in the world today. It's easy to understand because, as mentioned, the organization is a collection of dozens, even hundreds, of criminal gangs from everywhere where Chinese people live. But to get that number, the Triads have spent hundreds of years forming, developing and expanding their influence, as well as competing extremely fiercely for power. So how was this organization formed? It all seems to have started a long time ago, during the reign of the second emperor of the Qing dynasty, Kangxi. Secret societies and religious organizations such as Buddhism and Taoism are classified as outlawed groups. And the facilities of these organizations were constantly suppressed and closed at that time. Due to dissatisfaction with the Qing court, monks of Han origin at Shaolin Temple formed a resistance movement against the court. However, the suppression of the Qing emperor caused Chinese secret societies to go underground rather than being completely destroyed. However, there are still groups of opposition movements that are strongly suppressed. The resistance movement at Shaolin Temple was discovered and suffered extremely terrible punishments. The Manchu Qing court ordered the Shaolin Temple to be burned, killing many Han Chinese monks. However, there are still lucky people who escaped death. The 5 survivors founded the Triad Society with the original names Tian Dia Hoi or Hong Mon Hoi, depending on the records. This association is associated with the color red and the name Hong, because this is part of the Hongwu era when the Ming dynasty was founded, and that is also the name of one of the founders of the association, the monk Fuang Dai Hong. Some people even say that one of the 5 founders of the Triads was Zen master Qi Tian, one of the 5 elders of the southern Chinese Kung Fu sect. However, due to the spontaneous form of struggle and activity, it was soon quickly crushed. At this point, something quite contradictory happened. Obviously, initially, we knew the association was founded solely for the purpose of overthrowing the Qing dynasty and restoring Han rule in China, and had nothing to do with criminal activities. So why did it later become the most notorious criminal organization in history? That's because of this event. During the Xinhai Revolution in 1911, the Qing dynasty collapsed, and the Triads lost their direction because their real enemy was no longer there. The Qing dynasty collapsed exactly as they wanted. However, the Ming dynasty could not be restored, and the Chinese people followed the new government. The Triads lost great support both materially and spiritually. They began to fall into chaos, unable to keep up with the country's development. More than 200 years of struggle with many hardships have now become meaningless. Unable to restore the Ming dynasty, they were considered rebels. Most of the members had to flee and migrate to many other countries, mainly Southeast Asia. However, the structure and organization of the association remained the same. However, when the original purpose no longer existed, the organization gradually transformed, becoming a collection of criminal gangs operating in many areas. During the early metamorphic period, the Triads appeared mainly in the Bakjiang, Dongjiang, and Taijiang areas of Guangdong province. The members gradually turned their bodies into zoos with all kinds of rare animals. In addition, they also tattooed images of Quan Van Truong and the sword. After small criminal activities and earning huge profits, they continuously recruited members as well as perfected the organizational apparatus. Over time, with strong financial resources and a relatively wide control network, the Triads have successfully built an operating apparatus as well as a relatively complete division of membership levels. Many people are still curious about how to become a member of such a criminal organization and what the membership levels of the organization will be like. With its secretive nature, members joining the Triad must go through a unique initiation ritual. This ceremony takes place in front of the altar, filled with incense smoke, no different from the fraternal unions in historical films. People joining the festival will have to offer a domestic animal, which can be a chicken, pig, or goat. After drinking wine mixed with blood, the person who wants to join the guild walks over a sword, reciting the guild's oath as he passes. The oath consists of 36 extremely complicated clauses. Then she concluded with the sentence, "If I, as a future member of this organization, violate my oath, the swords will take my life." The oath paper will then be burned in front of the altar to confirm the obligations that the new member must fulfill. According to the meaning of the guild's name, the candidate will also raise 3 fingers on his left hand to the sky as a secret and binding gesture. For those who do not comply with the oath, the natural consequence will be death in many different forms. Members of the Triads in Hong Kong prefer to use cold weapons to punish fellow members who violate their oaths, while Triad groups abroad can use guns. Regarding the organizational structure, the leader, who still operated under the name Tien Dia Hoi, was called the General Altar Master. Below the main altar, there are 5 rooms in front and 5 rooms in back. Each of these departments is responsible for monitoring the activities of members in different areas. According to the assignment of the General Altar, Tiangu Fong takes care of diplomatic and economic matters. In the Tiangu room, there was the Operations Department, tasked with assassinating Manchu officials and ambushing convoys carrying weapons and food from the court to destroy soldiers and rob those properties. Hao Ngufong is assigned to communicate, recruit new members, and carry out activities such as disseminating the guidelines and policies of the Tien Dia Hoi to groups within the Tien Dia Hoi, called groups. These herds are headed by mountain masters and deputy mountain masters, who are responsible for overseeing the activities of their herd members. Under the mountain owners is a relatively methodically and closely organized supporting apparatus, including people who take care of important tasks such as organizing the herd's activities, advising the mountain owners, and liaising with the mountain masters. Flock members and superiors recruit new members. However, according to many records, after becoming a tribe, the tribe gangs had a relatively high degree of autonomy. Gangs in the same association even compete for territory, treating each other as enemies. Those at the lower levels of this organization's hierarchy still have more freedom to operate than many other criminal organizations in the world. Gang activities are also rarely directed by senior leaders of the association. Members do not have to ask permission from the leader when participating in any criminal activity. Thanks to its large force and chaos in the early 20th century, the Triads quickly became a criminal organization operating in all fields in mainland China. Although not as strong as before, the Triad is still a force that cannot be underestimated. They control arms smuggling, prostitution, kidnapping, organizing illegal border crossings, extortion, counterfeiting, loan sharking, and casino protection. Things only changed after 1949, when a new government took over the country. Under extremely strong repression, most of the remaining people in the organization had to migrate to Hong Kong, and since then, Hong Kong has become the strongest base of operations for this criminal organization, with about 50 large gangs and at least 80,000 members. During the most prosperous times, the number could reach 300,000 people. Perhaps you have heard more or less about how Hong Kong's economy developed in the 90s. Along with that development, the Triads stretched out their arms of power, embracing every field that could make money. All those seemingly loud and ostentatious activities turned out to be surprisingly secret. The police know about the organization, have information about it, but have no way to find evidence or search to completely destroy it. As for outsiders, almost no important information is revealed. Dozens of gangs belong to the association, which is divided into operating areas based on ethnic groups, with each gang in charge of an area and each having its own headquarters. Currently, there are 7 main gangs that are still constantly in the sights of Hong Kong police and Mao. Those names include Hoa Hop Dao, Hoa Tang Hoa, Tan Nghia An, Tui Fong, Hoa Tang Nghia, and 14K. Among those 7 names, 4 were grouped into the famous 4 Great Black Gangs, which became the fear of the people of Hong Kong in the 20th century. The gangs represent strength and dignity. Fear of the Triads, not only in the area of operations but also around the world. Each name just mentioned will be a piece of the puzzle that helps us complete the overall picture of the power and dark secret behind the Triads. But we should start at the beginning. Perhaps the most appropriate starting point would be Hoa Hop Dao, the gang with the longest experience among the 7 big names. Established in the late 19th and early 20th centuries and operating right in the center of Hong Kong, Hoa He Dao was a secret political organization that worked against the Qing dynasty government before the Xinhai Revolution. Basically, its later process is exactly the same as the process of metamorphosis from Tien Dia Hoi to Tri Huang, as we said. After participating in criminal activities, Hoa Hop Dao owned a huge source of income from protecting fish markets and a number of ferry ports. The number of gang members remains at about 50,000, doing all kinds of jobs as long as they get money. During the period of growth among the 4 great gangs of Hong Kong, Hoa Hop Dao and 14K, a gang we will mention later, were the 2 key gangsters with market shares, operating areas, and the largest division. With an almost unique position in Hong Kong, Hoa Hop Dao members comfortably live outside the law. In many cases, gangs blatantly surrounded and challenged the police, leaving Hong Kong security forces with no way to handle them. However, achievements in their home country of Hong Kong cannot express the true power that Hoa Hop Dao has. As the most senior gang in the Triad, it was Hoa Hop Dao who contributed greatly to expanding the group's tentacles to America. Indeed, U.S. police documents show that the Hoa Hop Dao gang sent a big brother named Trang Bin Quang from Hong Kong to the U.S. in 1982 to annex fertile land in the underworld in the neighborhood. Overseas Chinese in San Francisco, California. On the surface, Trang Bin Quang's purpose when coming to America was to establish a Chinese musical company. But American investigation documents show something completely different. Under the name Peter Cho, he is the boss behind the Hoa Hop Dao criminal gang in Northern California. Here, members of this gang participate in many illegal activities, notably gambling and extortion. They are very aggressive, managing activities on the streets by threatening to use force. Members of Hoa Hop Dao eat for free at any restaurant in Chinatown because no one dares to protest. Under Trong's direction, the Hoa Hop Dao gang began to expand and absorb smaller gangs established by the Chinese in America. Before being arrested and convicted in 2000, looks of success brought the organization's reputation to new heights. The land of San Francisco not only has Italian Mafia guys, but now it is also under the control of the Triads. Possessing seniority not less than Hoa Hop Dao is a gang called Hoa Tang Hoa. Unlike most other gangs, this gang was founded abroad and then returned to Hong Kong to operate. The birthplace of Hoa Tang Hoa is Chinatown in Toronto, Canada. Not long after its establishment, Hoa Tang Hoa also moved its headquarters to Hong Kong. With the aim of establishing a government to fight British colonial rule, in reality, it was completely the opposite. According to some documents, during World War II, Hoa Tang Hoa helped the invaders kill many Chinese people with the assassination team known as Team 49. Due to political problems, many Chinese people left the mainland to flee to Hong Kong, so Hoa Tang Hoa's membership also continued to increase and expanded from 5,000 to 70,000 in 1950. In 1989, Hoa Thang Hoa attracted media attention after a terrorist attack on the Indonesian coast, an area bordering the East Sea. When the British government prepared to return Hong Kong to China, the gang was forced to readjust its internal organization to prepare for darker purposes on the mainland. They began bringing banned goods to dance floors and bars with sophisticated tricks and business tactics, especially their recklessness and willingness to purge competitors. Many times, Hoa Thang Hoa members were attacked by competitors, resulting in extremely bloody gun battles. Having originally come from abroad, Hoa Thang Hoa also extended his dark hand. In other countries and territories, mainland China, Japan, Thailand, and even Australia all have the presence of members of this gang. Hoa Thang Hoa members have significantly contributed to increasing the crime rate in London's Chinatown. Not only that, Hoa Thang Hoa is related to famous Hong Kong politicians and businessmen. They are suspected of supporting and secretly abetting this gang. It can be seen that Hoa Thang Hoa is not too strong in criminal activities. But what is scary here is the power spread abroad, as well as the relationship with the ruling class. The good relationship with many politicians that Hoa Thang Hoa has had has always been maintained very well until today. This sounds extremely unbelievable because Hong Kong police have always worked hard to hunt down and destroy Triad gangs. We also mentioned that these gangs had to flee abroad because they could not resist the repression. How could one of the four great dark gangs of the Triad have good relationships with politicians? Is this true? The next person will give us the answer. This was the leader of the Hoa Thang Hoa gang in the 2010s. People often call him by the nickname Shanghai Boy. With the aim of establishing a government to fight British colonial rule, in reality, it was completely the opposite. According to some documents, during World War II, Hoa Thang Hoa helped the invaders kill many Chinese people with the assassination team known as Team 49. Due to political problems, many Chinese people left the mainland to flee to Hong Kong, so Hoa Thang Hoa's membership also continued to increase and expanded from 5,000 to 70,000 in 1950. In 1989, Hoa Thang Hoa attracted media attention after a terrorist attack on the Indonesian coast, an area bordering the East Sea. When the British government prepared to return Hong Kong to China, the gang was forced to readjust its internal organization to prepare for darker purposes on the mainland. They began bringing banned goods to dance floors and bars with sophisticated tricks and business tactics, especially their recklessness and willingness to purge competitors. Many times, Hoa Thang Hoa members were attacked by competitors, resulting in extremely bloody gun battles. Having originally come from abroad, Hoa Thang Hoa also extended his dark hand. In other countries and territories, mainland China, Japan, Thailand, and even Australia all have the presence of members of this gang. Hoa Thang Hoa members have significantly contributed to increasing the crime rate in London's Chinatown. Not only that, Hoa Thang Hoa is related to famous Hong Kong politicians and businessmen. They are suspected of supporting and secretly abetting this gang. It can be seen that Hoa Thang Hoa is not too strong in criminal activities. But what is scary here is the power spread abroad, as well as the relationship with the ruling class. The good relationship with many politicians that Hoa Thang Hoa has had has always been maintained very well until today. This sounds extremely unbelievable because Hong Kong police have always worked hard to hunt down and destroy Triad gangs. We also mentioned that these gangs had to flee abroad because they could not resist the repression. How could one of the four great dark gangs of the Triad have good relationships with politicians? Is this true? The next person will give us the answer. This was the leader of the Hoa Thang Hoa gang in the 2010s. People often call him by the nickname Shanghai Boy.